Kellyanne Conway, host of Here's the Deal with Kellyanne on Fox Nation. Good morning to you. Want to know, like with your deep reservoir of knowledge when it goes to campaigns, who do you think's getting the better of this right now? You got a big push for Harris, a lot of enthusiasm and energy. They got the media behind them, although the media is not pushing them on the questions. And you've got Trump sort of adjusting in all this. How do you see it, Kellyanne?
The person who's having the best week is J.D. Vance. I think he's really hitting his stride as the number two. The role of number two is to reflect the policy prescriptions of the ticket and to really push back a little bit as the attack dog on the other side. What Vance did yesterday was brilliant, just spontaneously crossing the tarmac, crisscrossing over, and forcing the press to cover him, Bill, because he was there with the press, and did two things. Was clever and funny by saying, this will be my plane, I wanted to check it out, and then quickly pivoting to what's on everybody's mind, the fact that Harris won't take a single question. And why it's important for her to answer questions is she's lying from the podium. She's saying things like, I'm going to bring down prices on gas and groceries on day one. How about doing it on day 1,050? You've been there for 3.5 years. She's lying about Iran, and she's, I think, gaslighting the country from the comfort of a teleprompter and a podium. Very smart for Trump to have a press conference today. And I'm going to go one step further. When we were campaigning in 2016, we had very few resources, understaffed, under-resourced, underdog, underestimated. What did we do? We did what I think Trump and Vance will continue to do, and Harris doesn't seem to be interested in doing it all. Before you go out to the rally, before you go out to the people, backstage, you're providing 3 interviews, one to local print press, one to local radio, one to local TV. So if you're in Harrisburg, you're in Eau Claire, you're in Macomb County, Michigan, while the press is waiting for you to come out and just talk and not take their questions from the podium, from the teleprompter, you're actually giving an interview that lasts all week long, and most of those local reporters will report. They won't give their opinions. They'll just say, Trump to Harrisburg, I hear you, or Trump to Eau Claire, the forgotten man no more. That's a really smart feature of campaigns, and I would say this to the mainstream media. Kamala Harris is ignoring you because she thinks she already has you. For the same reason she doesn't go and spend a dime chasing people who vote 100% of the time and 100% of the time for Democrats, she thinks the mainstream media is already in her thrall and her corner. They should challenge that by not covering her rallies. Don't set up your camera next time. If she's not going to answer your questions, don't give her the service of covering her rallies.
Kellyanne, I want to play a little bit more of what the GOP VP contender J.D. Vance had to say yesterday and get your reaction to some of this.
This is a person who's been the presumptive Democrat nominee for 16 days. She hasn't taken a single real question from a reporter. And I think it's shameful for Kamala Harris, but increasingly for the media, that she's taking a basement strategy of running from reporters. President Trump and I take hostile questions. We take non-hostile questions. We get out there and talk to people because we respect the American people enough to want to persuade them and not to try to run from them.
Kellyanne, that was Tuesday. He talked about the basement strategy, but we know that worked for President Biden in 2020. And if the media is already kind of in the can in most aspects for them, I mean, why not run a basement strategy?
Yeah, this is my concern, Shannon, that Kamala Harris will have a Biden in the basement strategy, but right before our eyes, up on the stage, up on the dais, in front of us, but never have to take a single question. Look, I think the media did J.D. Vance a big service by putting on his shoulders immediately all the negatives. So he's gone through all those, he's survived and thrived, and now we are hearing about Tim Walz moment by moment. We're seeing these old clips, not so old clips, of Kamala Harris in the last couple of years saying things that are out of step, out of sync, out of touch with most Americans. I think you're seeing with Tim Walz and J.D. Vance just this week, as we're getting to know both of them better, that debate, that VP debate's going to be like Fraser Crane versus Norm Peterson in Cheers. Walz is not playing number 2 very well. He was overshadowing his number 1 almost immediately, had her in the background when they were in Philadelphia the other night. So I am concerned that she's going to do this, but you don't have the excuse of a global pandemic. You don't have an excuse of fear for your own safety and well-being so that you can't face the press. I'm going to say it again. If she's going to go up to the stage in front of thousands of people, she is duty-bound to answer questions from a handful of press corps, and she ought to debate. She ought to agree to the Fox News debate. What is she so afraid of? You get the best ratings here of all. She should absolutely take her case to the people. I love debates. They are a great feature. Democracy allows all of us to see these folks shoulder to shoulder.
Kellyanne, I do agree with you. I think the story of the week is the introduction of Tim Walz, and we'll see how that goes. And a lot of veterans are coming back out against him.
Yes.
This was a
Stolen
story.
valor.
This was a story in Minnesota. It just wasn't a story nationally. And you think about the process. It went so fast, and you wonder if the vetting could have been or was as thorough as it would be in a normal election year. With regard to J.D. Vance, I think he's a different guy over the past 48 hours. Now let's talk about the top of the ticket. Here's Donald Trump. Kamala refuses to do interviews because her team realizes she's unable to answer questions, much like Biden was not able to answer questions, but for different reasons. He is just plain shot, and she is just plain incompetent. What does he need to do this afternoon with all the media, the focus back on him at Mar-a-Lago?
So this election is still Donald Trump's to lose. The underlying fundamentals and the electoral college map favors him. These national polls will favor her. Democrats usually win the popular vote. So be it. She can run up the totals in California, New York, and other places. If President Trump beats Kamala Harris on policy, if he reminds people of the 4 years when he was there and just contrasts that to what we have now, on the border, on crime, on wars and engagements abroad, certainly on the economy and inflation. These are still the sweet spots. Look, voters have a way of telling us what's important to them. They can't tell us. And I've never seen, Bill and Shannon, a more clear issue set. It's been this way for years. But cautionary tale, it was the same issue set in 2022. And Republicans came up short in the Senate and barely won the House. And they won it through blue states, not red states. Why do I say that? You got to get in there like Trump and finish the sentences. We Americans expect and accept full-on policy prescription. We want to hear the solutions and the specifics. We're tired of hearing the problems. If it's a battle of personalities, if it's a battle of politics and not principles and policies, then I think it's more of a jump ball. If Trump can just go and challenge her on the economy, on the border, on crime, on Ukraine, on Israel, on Iran, and the things that she has said and done. I want to get back to Tim Walz for 1 second, because they always say vice presidential candidates don't matter.
Everything you just mentioned is policy. Yes. And that's where the strength of the argument is.
That's what you want to hear.
Finish your point.
Correct. No, it's the most important thing. And Bill, I'm also suggesting that we, the people, want to hear that. Stop pretending that folks just want this to be a battle of whose TikTok is more clever or who has the zinger, the soundbite of the day. People are suffering. They're frustrated, and they want solutions, and they expect that. And Donald Trump can deliver that. I think Trump 2024 can be the best Trump of all. He's got the hunger, swagger, underdog, underestimated from 2016, the 4-year presidential record, and the $320+ million of 2024. As long as they got the ground game, I hope they're investing in social media, because that's where he won it in 2016, not just all these TV ads where people get commissions, but social media where they don't get any. And if he sticks it to her on policy, I like the word incompetent for Kamala Harris for a very simple reason. If Democrats had confidence in Kamala Harris's competence, they could have made the switch not 3.5 weeks after that June 27th debate, but 3.5 years. In other words, Joe Biden did not need to run for re-election on December 1st, 2022. It was direct response to Donald Trump saying on November 15th that year, I'm in the race. They could have pulled Biden then and said, you got the brass ring, you became president, you got rid of Donald Trump, and now you could be the guy who is forever seen as elevating, electing the first female president of color.
He was resisting that entire argument.
But they were worried about her and her ability to do it. So she doesn't face the cameras and face press scrutiny. And people are going to, you know what? She's going to, you know what's going to fill that vacuum, Bill and Shannon? Questions about Tim Walz. And the stolen valor questions are real. I'll tell you why. The clips are from Minnesotans. The clips are from people who were in the military with him. You can't lie about that stuff. It's going to live forever.
Yeah. I was surprised, frankly, how many people I heard from out of Minnesota. Veterans in the past 3 days, really surprised. And Joe Biden did not give up the goose until they went with him with the argument after that debate saying, even CNN thinks you can't win. And that was the final straw. Kellyanne, thanks for coming on.
The money went away. All right, Kellyanne, thank you very much.
We'll talk soon. Thank you, Kellyanne. You bet.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.